I stood in my own kitchen, staring at the suitcase by the door, and I realized something that broke me. After 27 years of marriage, my husband had just asked me to leave. Not because I was unfaithful, not because I was cruel, but because his mother said I didn't belong there anymore. How does a woman who gave everything become nothing overnight? Stay with me. Because what happened next changed everything I thought I knew about love, family, and myself. My name is Margaret, and this is the story of how I lost my home, my dignity, and almost my faith, before I finally understood what it meant to truly let go. It was a Thursday morning in April. I remember because the lilacs were blooming outside the kitchen window. I'd planted those lilacs myself, 15 years ago, when we first moved into this house. I'd watered them through every drought, pruned them every spring. They were mine, just like this house was mine, just like this life was supposed to be mine. But that morning, everything I thought was mine was being taken away. "Margaret, please," my husband David said, his voice low and tired. "Just for a few weeks, until things calm down." I looked at him. The same man I'd loved since I was 23 years old. The same man who promised me forever at a small church in Ohio. His eyes couldn't meet mine. That's when I knew. When your husband can't look at you, when he whispers instead of speaks, when he says, just temporary, like those words don't destroy everything, that's when you know you've already lost. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. Calm down, I repeated. My voice didn't sound like mine. It sounded hollow, empty. "David, your mother has been living with us for 6 years. She's the one who needs to calm down." He flinched, actually flinched, like my words had physically hurt him. "She's sick, Margaret, you know that, she just had surgery. She needs peace and quiet." "And I'm the noise," I whispered. "I'm the problem." The silence that followed was so heavy I could barely breathe. I watched my husband's face, searching for something. Anything, a sign that he would choose me, that after 27 years I still mattered. But he looked away, he actually looked away. "It's just temporary," he said again. I didn't cry, not then. I think I was too shocked. Instead, I heard myself say, "Where am I supposed to go?" "Your sister's, or maybe a hotel for a few days. Just until Mom feels better." But I was already walking up the stairs, past the family photos on the wall, our wedding, our children's graduations, vacations and birthdays and anniversaries. All those smiling faces, all those moments that were supposed to mean forever. In our bedroom, I pulled out an old duffel bag. My mother gave me this bag when I went to college. I was 45 years old and I was packing to leave my own home with the same bag I'd used as a girl. I grabbed clothes without looking at them. Toiletries, my Bible, a framed photo of my children. I moved like a robot, because feeling was too dangerous right now. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. Then I heard footsteps on the stairs. Slow, careful footsteps. And I knew who it was before she appeared in the doorway. "Finally," my mother-in-law Patricia said. Her voice was sweet as poison. "Some peace and quiet around here." I turned to face her. She stood there in her pink bathrobe, her silver hair perfectly styled even though she claimed to be too weak to do anything for herself. Her eyes were bright with satisfaction. She'd been working toward this moment for months, maybe years. "You know what breaks my heart, Patricia," I said softly. "It's not that you hate me, I've known that for years. It's that you loved making your own son choose. And he chose you." She smiled, actually smiled. "A man should honor his mother. The Bible says so. The Bible also says a man should leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife. But I guess we only follow the verses that suit us." Her smile faded. "You always had a sharp tongue. That's your problem. No wonder David is tired of you." I could have said so many things. I could have listed every meal I'd cooked for her. Every doctor's appointment I'd driven her to. Every time I'd bitten my tongue when she criticized my housekeeping, my cooking, my parenting. Every single thing. But I didn't. Because I suddenly realized something. I'd spent 27 years trying to earn this woman's approval, and I was never going to get it. Some people don't want peace. They want control. "Goodbye, Patricia," I said. I zipped up my bag and walked past her. She called after me. "You'll come crawling back. Women like you always do." I paused at the top of the stairs. For just a moment, I wanted to turn around, to say something that would hurt her the way she'd hurt me, but I didn't because I wasn't her. I wasn't cruel, I was just broken. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. David was waiting at the bottom of the stairs. He looked like he wanted to say something, but the words wouldn't come. I could see the conflict in his eyes. The boy who loved his mother warring with the man who'd made vows to me. The boy won. The boy always won with David. "I'll call you," he said weakly. "Will you?" I shifted the bag on my shoulder. "Or will you wait until your mother gives you permission?" He didn't answer. And that silence was all the answer I needed. I walked out the front door. The lilacs were blooming so beautifully. The morning sun was warm on my face. Birds were singing. Everything looked so normal, so peaceful, like the world hadn't just turned upside down. I got in my car and I drove. I didn't know where I was going. I just drove. And that's when I finally started to cry. Deep, gasping sobs that seemed to come from somewhere I didn't know existed. 27 years. 27 years of trying, compromising, forgiving, hoping. Gone just like that. How does a woman who gave everything become nothing overnight? I was about to find out. But first, let me tell you how we got here. Let me take you back to the beginning. Let me take you back to where it all began. Because maybe if I tell you how we started, you'll understand how we ended. I met David when I was 23 years old. I was working as a receptionist at a dental office in Columbus, Ohio, and he came in with a terrible toothache. I remember thinking he had kind eyes, the kind of eyes that made you feel safe. Like everything would be okay as long as he was around. He asked me out before he left, even though his jaw was swollen and he could barely talk. I said yes. That was 1978. The world was different then. We dated for 8 months and he proposed on Christmas Eve. My parents loved him. My friends were jealous. He had a good job as an engineer, came from a respectable family, went to church every Sunday. On paper, he was perfect. I should have paid more attention to what wasn't on paper. I met his mother, Patricia, 3 months into our relationship. She invited us to Sunday dinner at her house. A small, immaculate home where everything had its place and nothing was ever out of order. She served pot roast. I complimented her cooking. "David's father, God rest his soul, he loved my pot roast," she said, smiling at her son. No one could make it like I could. There was something in the way she said it, something possessive, something that should have warned me. But I was 23 and in love, and I didn't understand yet that some mothers don't raise their sons to be husbands. They raise them to be eternal little boys who need taking care of. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. We got married in June of 1979. It was a beautiful wedding. Simple but lovely. Patricia cried during the ceremony. I thought she was crying because she was happy for her son. Now I think she was crying because she was losing control. The first few years were good. Really good. David was attentive, loving, present. We moved to Cleveland for his job. We were 4 hours away from his mother, and that distance was a blessing I didn't fully appreciate at the time. We had our first child, Michael, in 1981. Then our daughter, Sarah, in 1984. Those were full years, exhausting years, beautiful years. I was young and healthy and so in love with my little family. Patricia visited sometimes. Holidays, birthdays, a week here and there. She was critical. Of my housekeeping, my parenting choices, the way I dressed the children. But I told myself she meant well. That she was just old-fashioned. That I needed to be patient with her. Looking back now, I see how much I excused, how much I swallowed. How many times I apologized for things that weren't my fault, just to keep the peace. David was a good father. He played with the kids. He helped with bedtime. He fixed things around the house. But when his mother called and she called often, he became someone else. Someone smaller. Someone who said, "Yes, Mom," and of course, Mom and Margaret doesn't mind, Mom. Except Margaret did mind. But Margaret had learned not to say so. God knows I was patient. I was patient when she told me my pot roast was dry. Patient when she said my house wasn't as clean as hers used to be. Patient when she monopolized every conversation at dinner. Patient when she made small digs about my weight, my hair, my clothes, my everything. But something was changing in me. slowly like water wearing down stone. Each small criticism, each dismissive comment, each time David took her side instead of mine, it was wearing me down. Michael graduated from college and joined the army. He met a wonderful woman named Jennifer, and they got married in a quick ceremony before his deployment to Germany. Patricia complained that the wedding was too modern and too rushed. She didn't like Jennifer because Jennifer didn't put up with her nonsense. Sarah went to art school in Seattle. She'd call me once a week, and I could hear the concern in her voice. "Mom, are you okay? You sound tired." I was tired, I was exhausted, but I couldn't tell my daughter that. Couldn't admit that I was drowning in my own home, that her grandmother was slowly taking over, that her father was letting it happen. "I'm fine, sweetheart," I'd lie. "Just busy." I started having panic attacks. Small ones at first, just moments where I couldn't breathe, where the walls felt too close. I'd lock myself in the bathroom and sit on the floor, trying to remember how to inhale. David noticed I was struggling, but he didn't know what to do about it. Or maybe he didn't want to know. Because knowing would mean choosing, and he'd never been good at choosing me over his mother. "Maybe you should see someone," he suggested once. "A therapist or something." I stared at him. "A therapist, David, the problem isn't in my head. The problem is that your mother has taken over our lives and you're letting her." He looked uncomfortable. "She's old, Margaret. She won't be around forever." But she was around, day after day, year after year, criticizing, controlling, manipulating, and I was trapped. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. By 2024, Patricia was 89 years old and somehow stronger than ever. Her hip had healed years ago, but she still acted helpless. She'd call for David from her room. "David. David, I need you." And he'd drop everything to run to her, even me. He'd drop me. We stopped having date nights. Stopped having conversations that weren't about his mother's needs. Stopped touching each other in any meaningful way. Our bedroom became just a place to sleep. And sometimes not even that, because Patricia would need something in the middle of the night. I felt invisible, like I was disappearing from my own life. The woman who'd built this home, who'd raised these children, who'd loved this man for 27 years, she was fading away. And nobody noticed. Nobody except me. I was cleaning out the hall closet, something Patricia had been nagging me about for months, and there it was, in a garment bag I hadn't opened in years. My wedding dress. Simple white lace, cap sleeves, a modest train. My mother helped me choose it from a small bridal shop in Columbus. I stood there in the hallway, holding that dress, and I started to cry. Because the woman who wore that dress still believed. She believed in forever. She believed that love conquered all. She believed that if you were kind enough, patient enough, good enough, everything would work out. That woman was gone, and I didn't know who I was without her. "What are you doing?" Patricia's voice cut through my thoughts. I turned to find her standing at the end of the hallway, leaning on her walker even though I'd seen her walk perfectly fine when she thought no one was looking. "Just cleaning out the closet," I said, quickly wiping my eyes. She looked at the dress. Something flickered across her face. Was it satisfaction? "You were so young then. So naive." "I was in love." "You thought you were in love," she corrected. "You thought marriage was going to be like the movies, but it's work, hard work. And some women just aren't cut out for it." I stared at her. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means David deserves better than someone who cries over an old dress instead of making his lunch." My hands tightened on the garment bag. "I've made David lunch every single day for 27 years. "Have you?" She tilted her head. "Because from where I'm standing, you don't do much of anything anymore. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe." This was her game, these little verbal jabs. These constant insinuations that I wasn't enough would never be enough. I'd learned to ignore them mostly, to let them roll off like water. But that day, something in me snapped. "You know what, Patricia? You're right, I don't do much. I just cook every meal. I just clean this house. I just took care of you after your surgery. I just raised your grandchildren while you criticized every choice I made. I just loved your son even when he couldn't stand up for me against you. But you're right. I don't do much." Her eyes went wide. In all the years she'd lived with us, I'd never spoken to her like that, never raised my voice, never pushed back. How dare you, she whispered, her face going pale. How dare you speak to me that way? I'm a sick old woman. You're a manipulative old woman, I said quietly. And we both know it. She clutched her walker dramatically. David will hear about this. You wait. He'll hear exactly how you treat his poor mother. I hung the dress back in the closet. Tell him whatever you want, Patricia. I'm done walking on eggshells. But I wasn't done. Because when David came home that evening, Patricia had already gotten to him. I was making dinner, chicken parmesan, his favorite, when he walked into the kitchen with a look I'd never seen before. Cold, distant, angry. We need to talk, he said. I turned off the stove. About what? About how you spoke to my mother today. Of course she'd twisted it, made herself the victim, made me the villain. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. David, she was insulting me. Again, I just defended myself. She said you screamed at her, called her manipulative. Made her feel unsafe in her own home. Her own home, my voice rose despite myself. This is my home. I've lived here for 17 years. She moved in without asking if it was okay with me. She's taken over everything. And now I can't even defend myself without being the bad guy. He rubbed his face, looking exhausted. She's 89 years old, Margaret. She just had surgery. Why can't you just be kind to her? I have been kind. I was shouting now, something I rarely did. I've been kind for 6 years. I've been patient and understanding and accommodating while she's criticized everything about me. When is it enough, David? When do I get to be treated with respect in my own home? She's my mother. 3 words. That's all he said. 3 words that explained everything and nothing. And I'm your wife, I said quietly. Doesn't that mean anything? He looked at me, and I saw something that scared me more than anger. I saw resignation, like he'd already made up his mind about something. I think you need to apologize to her, he said. Apologize for what? For standing up for myself. For being cruel to a sick old woman who's done nothing but try to be part of this family. I stared at my husband, this man I'd loved for 27 years. This man I'd built a life with. And I realized he genuinely believed what he was saying. His mother had rewritten reality, and he'd accepted her version without question. I'm not apologizing, I said, because I didn't do anything wrong. His jaw tightened. Then we have a problem. We've had a problem for 6 years, David. You've just been refusing to see it. He turned and walked out of the kitchen. I stood there, alone, with chicken parmesan cooling on the stove that nobody was going to eat. That was Monday. Things got worse from there. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. Like years of disrespect and manipulation were just in my head. I'm not paranoid, I said slowly. I'm being pushed out, and you're letting it happen. He finally looked at me. Maybe if you tried harder to get along with her, tried harder, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. David, I've tried for 6 years. I've tried so hard I've made myself sick. I have panic attacks in my own home. I can't sleep. I can't think. I feel like I'm drowning, and you're telling me to try harder. Mom says you're always upset, always stressed. Maybe you should see a doctor, get some medication or something. And there it was. He wasn't on my side. He was on hers, completely, totally on hers. Your mother is the reason I'm upset, I said quietly. But you'll never see that, will you? Because to see that, you'd have to admit she's not perfect, and you can't do that. He went back to his newspaper. I'm not having this conversation again. We've never had this conversation, David. Not really, because you won't listen. But he was done. He'd shut down, and I was talking to a wall. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. Wednesday, Patricia cornered me in the laundry room. You're making him miserable, she said without preamble. I kept folding towels, not looking at her. I'm not having this conversation with you. He's losing weight, he can't sleep, he's stressed all the time because of you. Because of me, I turned to face her. Or because you've created an impossible situation where he has to choose between his wife and his mother. She smiled. It was the coldest smile I'd ever seen. And we both know who he'll choose. My hand stilled on the towel. You're proud of that. You're actually proud that you've manipulated your son into betraying his marriage. I'm proud that I raised a boy who respects his mother, Who understands duty and loyalty? Something you clearly don't. I've been loyal to this family for 27 years. You've been a burden, she said simply. And David's finally starting to see it. I wanted to argue. I wanted to list everything I'd sacrificed, everything I'd endured, everything I'd given. But what was the point? She'd made up her mind about me years ago. Nothing I said would change it. Are you done? I asked. Not even close, she said. I'm not leaving this house until you do, and between you and me, she leaned in close. David's going to ask you to go. And you know the worst part, you're going to do it, because you're weak. You've always been weak. She walked away, leaving me standing there with a basket of half-folded towels and a heart that was breaking into smaller and smaller pieces. I should have fought harder. I should have stood my ground, I should have made David see what was happening, but I was so tired, so worn down, so empty. That night David slept on the couch. He didn't say why. He just took his pillow and left our bedroom like it was the most natural thing in the world. I lay awake in our bed, my bed, staring at the ceiling, and I knew what was coming. I could feel it in the air, in the silence, in the way my husband couldn't even look at me anymore. Thursday morning came, and with it, the end of everything I'd known. Didn't want to hear him explain or justify or make excuses. What could he possibly say that would make this better? Claire lived in a small town outside of Akron. She was 3 years older than me, divorced, worked as a nurse. We'd always been close, but in the last few years, with Patricia taking over my life, I'd pulled away from everyone. Including my own sister. I pulled into her driveway around noon. She was in the front yard, planting flowers. When she saw my car, saw my face, she dropped her gardening gloves and ran over. Maggie. What happened? What's wrong? I tried to speak, but no words came out. Instead, I just collapsed into her arms and started sobbing. All the numbness broke open and I was drowning in it. She held me. Didn't ask questions, just held me while I fell apart in her front yard. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. Eventually, she got me inside, made me tea, sat me down at her kitchen table, and waited until I could breathe enough to talk. He asked me to leave, I finally said. My voice sounded like sandpaper. David, he asked me to leave our house. Because his mother, I couldn't finish. I didn't need to. Claire knew Patricia. She'd met her at family gatherings. She'd seen the way Patricia treated me. She'd warned me years ago that living with David's mother was going to destroy my marriage. She'd been right. Oh, honey, Claire said softly. I'm so sorry. 27 years, Claire. 27 years, and it meant nothing. She moved in 6 years ago, and she's been systematically destroying everything we built. And he let her. He let her do it. What are you going to do? I looked at my sister. I don't know anything anymore. My phone buzzed, a text from David. We need to talk. Please call me. I showed Claire the message. She frowned. Do you want to call him? No, yes, I don't know. I put my head in my hands. What do I even say? You say whatever you need to say. But maybe not today. Today you just breathe. You're safe here. Stay as long as you need. I stayed. I slept in Claire's guest room. A small, cozy room that smelled like lavender and had soft yellow walls. It was peaceful there. Quiet. No one criticizing me. No one making me feel like I was the problem. But I couldn't sleep. I lay awake for hours, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything in my head. Every moment, every conversation, every time I'd swallowed my feelings to keep the peace. Where had it gotten me? Here. Alone in my sister's guest room, exiled from my own life. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. Friday morning, David called again. This time I answered. Margaret. He sounded tired. Where are you? Somewhere safe. Are you at Claire's? Does it matter? A pause. Mom's asking about you. I almost laughed. I'm sure she is. I'm sure she's very concerned. Margaret, what do you want, David? What could you possibly want from me right now? I just want to know if you're okay. No, I said flatly. I'm not okay. My husband just kicked me out of our home. I'm not even remotely okay. It's not forever. I just need some time to choose. David, you already chose. You chose her. You chose your mother over your wife. That's not fair. Fair, now I was angry. Good, anger was better than emptiness. You want to talk about fair. Is it fair that I've put up with your mother's abuse for 6 years? Is it fair that she's taken over our home, our marriage, our life? Is it fair that every time I tried to talk to you about it, you made me feel like I was the problem? She's 89 years old, Margaret. She's not going to be around forever. And what about me? I was shouting now. What about our marriage? Does that get to live forever, or are you just going to wait until your mother dies to remember you have a wife? Silence. Long, awful silence. I don't know what you want me to do, he finally said, and he sounded so helpless, so defeated. I want you to be my husband, I said, and my voice broke. I want you to put our marriage first. I want you to see what she's doing to us. I want you to choose me. Just once, David, choose me. More silence. And in that silence, I heard everything he couldn't say. I'll call you later, he said quietly and hung up. I sat there holding the phone and I realized something. He wasn't going to choose me. He was never going to choose me. Because his mother had raised him to believe that honoring her meant sacrificing everyone else. And he didn't know how to be anything other than what she'd made him. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. That weekend, Claire tried to distract me. We watched movies. We cooked together. We talked about everything except David and Patricia. But I was barely present. I was going through the motions of being alive while feeling completely dead inside. Sunday afternoon, my daughter Sarah called. Mom, Dad just called me. He said you left. What's going on? I closed my eyes. It's complicated, sweetheart. He said you and Grandma had a fight. He said you need some space. Of course that's how he'd explained it. Not that he'd asked me to leave. Not that he'd chosen his mother over me, just that I needed space. Like this was my choice, my decision. Sarah, honey, that's not exactly what happened. Then what did happen, because Dad sounded really upset, and Grandma is apparently in tears. Patricia in tears, playing the victim, as always. Your grandmother and we've had problems for a long time, and your father, he had to make a choice and he chose her. Mom, that can't be right. Dad loves you. I thought so too, I said quietly. But love isn't always enough, not when someone won't fight for it. Sarah was quiet for a moment. Do you want me to come home? I can get a flight tomorrow. No, baby, you have your own life, your job. I'm okay, I'm with Aunt Claire. You don't sound okay. I smiled even though she couldn't see it. I will be, eventually. I just need some time to figure things out. Mom, I love you, you know that, right? I know, sweetheart, I love you too. After we hung up, I cried again. Because my daughter shouldn't have to be caught in the middle of this. Neither of my children should, but Patricia had poisoned everything she touched. Even this. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. Monday morning, a week after I'd left, David showed up at Claire's house. I was sitting on the front porch drinking coffee when his car pulled into the driveway. My heart started racing. I didn't know if I was ready to see him, to talk to him, but I didn't have a choice. He got out of the car slowly. He looked awful, like he hadn't slept in days. His hair was messy. His clothes were wrinkled. He walked up the porch steps and stood there, not quite knowing what to do with his hands. Hi, he said. Hi, can we talk? I gestured to the chair next to me. He sat down, and for a long moment, neither of us said anything. We just sat there, two people who used to know everything about each other. Now Strand continue 12. 05 a.m. continue 12. 06 a.m. Jers. I miss you, he finally said. I looked at him. Do you, or do you miss having someone to cook and clean while your mother criticizes everything? He winced. That's not fair. None of this is fair, David, but here we are. He rubbed his face with both hands. Mom's been difficult since you left. Difficult how? She's upset all the time, crying. Saying she drove you away, saying she ruined everything. I couldn't help it. I laughed. It was a bitter, hollow sound. She's upset. She got exactly what she wanted. She got you all to herself. She got me out of the house. She won. He shook his head. No, they've gotten worse. She's gotten worse. She keeps asking when you're coming back. She keeps saying she's sorry. But then 5 minutes later, she's talking about how disrespectful you were, how you never appreciated anything she did. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. That's who she is, David. That's who she's always been. She wants control. She wants you dependent on her. And she'll say whatever she needs to say to keep that control. She's my mother, he said again, like that explained everything. I know, I said softly, but I'm your wife, or at least I was. I don't even know what we are anymore. He looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw tears in his eyes. I don't want to lose you, Margaret. I don't want our marriage to end like this. Then what do you want? I want you to come home. And what about your mother? He hesitated, and in that hesitation I saw the truth. He wanted me to come home, but he wasn't willing to set boundaries with Patricia. He wanted me to just accept the situation, to go back to being invisible, being criticized, being second place. To go back to drowning. She needs me, he said finally. So do I whispered. I need you to stand up for me. I need you to put our marriage first. I need you to see what she's been doing to us. But you can't, can you? You can't see it because that would mean admitting your mother isn't perfect. And you'd rather lose me than admit that. That's not true, isn't it? I stood up. David, I love you. I've loved you for 27 years. But I can't keep sacrificing myself for a marriage where I don't matter. I can't keep living in a house where I'm treated like an intruder. I can't keep pretending that everything is fine when it's been broken for years. He stood up too, reaching for my hand. Please, Margaret, please just come home. We'll figure it out. I promise. I pulled my hand away gently. You've been promising to figure it out for 6 years, but nothing ever changes, because you won't let it change. What do you want me to do? Kick my own mother out. I want you to be my husband first and her son second. I want you to set boundaries. I want you to tell her that she can't speak to me the way she does. I want you to make it clear that this is our home, not hers. I want you to choose our marriage. I am choosing our marriage, that's why I'm here. No, I said sadly. You're here because the house feels empty. You're here because your mother is being difficult. You're here because you're uncomfortable. But you're not here because you've realized what you did was wrong. You're not here because you're ready to change anything. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. He stared at me. So what are you saying, that we're done? I'm saying I need time, real time, to figure out who I am without you, without her. Without constantly trying to be enough for people who will never think I'm enough. You are enough, he said, his voice breaking. You've always been enough. Then why wasn't I enough for you to defend? Why wasn't I enough for you to choose? He didn't have an answer. We stood there on my sister's porch, and I felt something shift inside me. Something that had been holding on finally let go. I'd spent so many years trying to save this marriage. Trying to fix what was broken. Trying to be patient and kind and understanding. But you can't save something when you're the only one trying. I think you should go, I said quietly. Margaret, please, David, just go. I'll call you when I'm ready to talk again. But right now, I need you to leave. He looked like he wanted to argue, to plead. To say something that would change my mind, but he didn't. He just nodded, walked back to his car and drove away. I watched him go and I felt nothing, not relief, not sadness, just emptiness. Claire came out a few minutes later. She'd been watching from inside. She didn't say anything, just sat down next to me and held my hand. And we sat there together in the morning sun, two sisters who'd weathered their own storms, knowing that some battles you have to fight alone. 3 weeks passed. 3 weeks of living in Claire's guest room. 3 weeks of slowly remembering who I was before I became David's wife and Patricia's target. 3 weeks of healing in ways I didn't even know I was broken. Claire was patient with me. She let me cry when I needed to cry. She let me be silent when I needed silence. She didn't push me to make decisions or figure out my next steps. She just let me be. And in that space of being allowed to just exist, I started to find myself again. I started taking walks every morning. Long walks through Claire's neighborhood, past houses with blooming gardens and children playing in yards. I'd watch families through windows, and I'd wonder if they were happy. If they fought like David and I fought. If they had mother-in-laws who poisoned everything. Or if they'd figured out something I never could. I started reading again. Books I'd bought years ago but never had time for. Poetry and novels and memoirs of women who'd survived impossible things. And I realized I wasn't alone. That my story, painful as it was, wasn't unique. That women everywhere were fighting battles in their own homes. trying to hold marriages together with bare hands, while the world told them to just try harder, be kinder, be better. I started praying again. Really praying. Not the quick, desperate prayers I'd been whispering for years. Please God, make Patricia be kind. Please God, make David see. Please God, fix this. But deeper prayers, quieter prayers. God, show me who I am. Show me what you want for my life. Show me if I'm supposed to fight or if I'm supposed to let go. And slowly, so slowly I almost didn't notice, I started to feel peace. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. It wasn't the peace of having everything fixed. It wasn't the peace of having answers. It was the peace of surrender. Of finally admitting that I couldn't control David's choices or Patricia's behavior or the outcome of my marriage. All I could control was myself. How I responded. What I accepted. What I refused to accept anymore. Sarah called me every few days. She'd flown home to see her father, and what she found had shaken her. "Mom," she said during one call. I had no idea it was this bad. Grandma is. She's manipulating everything. She's telling Dad one thing and me another. She's playing the victim while also criticizing you behind your back. It's like she has two personalities. She's always been like that, sweetheart. I just got very good at pretending I didn't notice. Dad seems lost without you. The house is a mess. He's barely eating, and Grandma just sits in her room and complains about everything. That's not my problem to fix anymore, I said gently. Your father made a choice. Now he has to live with it. Are you coming back? I was quiet for a moment. I don't know, honey, I honestly don't know, Michael called from Germany. Jennifer had told him what was happening, and he was furious. Mom, I'm sorry, I should have said something years ago. The way Grandma treats you, it's not okay, it's never been okay. And Dad should have stood up for you. It's not your fault, Michael. But I saw it, we all saw it, and we didn't do anything. You were kids. It wasn't your job to fix your parents' marriage. I'm not a kid anymore, and I'm telling you right now, if you leave Dad, I'll support you. Jennifer and I both will. You deserve better than this. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. 4 weeks after I left, David called again. Can I come see you? He asked. I need to talk to you. Please, something in his voice was different. Humbler, more broken, so I said yes. He arrived the next afternoon. He looked even worse than before. Thinner, tired, older somehow. He sat across from me at Claire's kitchen table, and he just looked at me for a long moment. I've been doing a lot of thinking, he said finally. And I've been talking to our pastor. What did he say? He said I've been wrong about everything. He said that when I married you, you became my first priority, not my mother, not anyone else. You and I've failed at that. For years, I've failed at that. I didn't say anything, just waited. He also said that honor doesn't mean obedience. That I can honor my mother while still setting boundaries. That I can love her while choosing my wife. I didn't understand that before. I thought choosing you meant betraying her. But that's not true, is it? No, I said softly, it's not. I asked Mom to move out, he said, and his voice shook. I found her a nice assisted living facility about 20 minutes away. It has a beautiful garden and activities and people her age. She'll be taken care of, but she can't live with us anymore. I stared at him. What did she say? Living without you, he said simply. These past 4 weeks have been the worst of my life. And not just because the house was empty or because I had to do my own laundry, but because I realized that I'd taken you for granted. That I'd let my mother poison the best thing in my life. That I'd chosen temporary peace over permanent love. I looked at our hands, joined together on the table. The same hands that had held each other through 27 years of life. The same hands that had promised forever. Is she already moved out? She moves next week. I wanted to tell you first. Wanted to ask if you'd even consider coming back before I made it final. And if I say no, if I say it's too late, his face crumpled, then I'll accept it. I'll let you go. I'll sign whatever papers you want me to sign, but I'll never stop loving you, and I'll never stop regretting what I did. I understand. And we need counseling, real counseling. With someone who can help us rebuild what's been broken. Absolutely. Whatever you need. And if your mother ever speaks to me the way she did before, if she ever tries to come between us again, I will leave. And I won't come back. Do you understand? He nodded. I understand, and I promise you, Margaret, things will be different. I will be different. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. I wanted to believe him. Part of me did believe him. But another part of me, the part that had been hurt too many times, was cautious, guarded, scared of hoping only to be disappointed again. Okay, I said quietly. I'll come home. But I'm not promising anything beyond that. We're starting over. Like we're dating again, you have to earn my trust back. I will, he said, and there were tears running down his face now. I promise I will. He moved Patricia out the following week, and true to his word, he helped her settle into her new place. A beautiful apartment with a garden view and kind staff. She didn't speak to me for months, refused my calls, told anyone who would listen that her ungrateful son had abandoned her for his horrible wife. But David stood firm. He visited her twice a week. He called her every day, but he didn't let her manipulate him, didn't let her guilt him, didn't let her back into our home. And slowly, grudgingly, she began to accept the new boundaries. I moved back home 6 weeks after I'd left. The house felt different, lighter, like a weight had been lifted. David had cleaned everything, filled the kitchen with my favorite flowers. Left notes around the house. I'm sorry, I love you, thank you for giving me another chance. We started counseling. It was hard, painful. We had to talk about things we'd been avoiding for years. We had to face the ways we'd both failed each other. We had to rebuild trust from the ground up. But we did it. Slowly, carefully, one day at a time. That was 5 months ago. 5 months of healing. 5 months of rebuilding. 5 months of learning what it means to truly put each other first. David kept his promises, all of them. He visits his mother regularly, but he doesn't let her dictate our lives anymore. He stands up for me. He chooses me. And when Patricia tries to manipulate or guilt or control, he gently but firmly redirects her. It hasn't been easy. There have been setbacks, times when old patterns tried to creep back in. Times when I felt myself shutting down, protecting myself, waiting for the other shoe to drop. Times when David slipped back into old habits of appeasing his mother at my expense. But we talk about it now. We don't let things fester. We don't pretend everything is fine when it's not. We're learning to be honest with each other in ways we never were before. Patricia and I have an uneasy truce. She's never apologized for the years of cruelty, never acknowledged the damage she caused. But she's learned that if she wants to be part of our lives, she has to respect boundaries. She can't live with us, can't criticize me, can't come between us. And if she tries, David shuts it down immediately. It's not perfect, but it's better, so much better than it was. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. I've learned some things through all of this. Hard things, things I wish I'd understood years ago. I learned that you can't save a marriage alone. That no amount of patience or kindness or trying harder will fix something if the other person won't work with you. That sacrifice only matters if it's mutual. And that sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away. I learned that setting boundaries isn't selfish. That saying no doesn't make you a bad person. That protecting your peace is not only acceptable, it's necessary. That you can love someone and still refuse to let them hurt you. I learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean pretending the hurt didn't happen. It doesn't mean going back to how things were. It means choosing to release the anger so it doesn't poison you. It means giving someone a chance to do better. But it also means protecting yourself if they don't. I learned that church culture sometimes gets it wrong. That submit to your husband and honor your mother don't mean accepting abuse. That God doesn't ask us to set ourselves on fire to keep others warm. That there's a difference between sacrificial love and being a doormat. I learned that my worth doesn't come from being a perfect wife or a perfect daughter-in-law. That I am valuable simply because I exist. That I deserve respect and kindness and love, not because I've earned it, but because it's how all people should be treated. I learned that it's never too late to start over. That even after 27 years, you can choose differently. That you can reclaim parts of yourself you thought were lost forever. that you're stronger than you ever imagined. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. Most importantly, I learned the difference between letting go in defeat and letting go in peace. When I left that April morning, I thought I was losing everything. I thought my life was over. I thought I'd failed at the one thing I was supposed to get right. But I was wrong. I wasn't losing everything. I was releasing what was killing me. I wasn't failing. I was finally finding the strength to say enough is enough. Letting go in defeat is giving up because you're tired and broken and you can't fight anymore. It's admitting failure. It's walking away with nothing but regret. But letting go in peace. That's different. That's recognizing that you can't control other people, that you can't make someone see what they refuse to see, that you can't force someone to choose you. That's releasing your grip on outcomes and trusting that God has a plan, even when you can't see it. That's walking away with your dignity intact, knowing you did everything you could. I let go in peace, and in that letting go, I found something I'd been missing for years. I found myself. The woman who loved gardening, but hadn't planted anything in years, because Patricia criticized her flower choices. The woman who loved to paint, but stopped, because there was never time between cooking and cleaning and caregiving. The woman who had dreams and opinions and preferences that mattered. She was still there. She'd just been buried under years of trying to be small enough, quiet enough, good enough for people who would never be satisfied. I'm learning to take up space again. To have opinions, to say no without apologizing, to choose myself sometimes without feeling guilty. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. David and I are rebuilding. But I'm different now. I'm not the same woman who left that April morning. I'm stronger, more sure of myself, less willing to compromise on things that matter. And David respects that. Actually respects it. He says he likes this version of me better. That he didn't realize how much of myself I'd been suppressing until I stopped. On choosing to let go of what I can't control. On choosing to forgive without excusing. On choosing to rebuild without forgetting. On choosing peace over bitterness. Patricia will probably never change. She'll probably never see the damage she caused. She'll probably go to her grave believing she was the victim in all of this. And you know what? That's okay. Because her choices don't define me anymore. Her opinion of me doesn't determine my worth. Her inability to love me well doesn't mean I'm unlovable. I've stopped trying to earn her approval. I've stopped trying to make her see me as worthy. I've stopped trying to change her. Because you can't change people who don't want to change. All you can do is change how you respond to them. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. Sometimes I think about that Thursday morning. About standing in my kitchen with a suitcase by the door. About driving away from everything I'd known for 27 years. About feeling like my world was ending. And I realize now that it wasn't ending. It was transforming. The old version of my life, the version where I made myself small and invisible and unimportant, that version ended. And I'm grateful. Because what rose from those ashes is something better. A marriage based on mutual respect, instead of one-sided sacrifice. A sense of self that isn't dependent on other people's approval. A peace that comes from knowing I stood up for myself even when it was terrifying. A faith that's been tested and came out stronger. I'm not telling you my story so you'll feel sorry for me. I'm telling you my story because maybe you need to hear it. Maybe you're in your own kitchen right now, feeling invisible, feeling like you're drowning, feeling like you're not enough. Maybe you have your own Patricia. Maybe you have your own person who makes you feel small and worthless and wrong. I finally found peace after letting go. Not by leaving my marriage permanently. Not by cutting everyone off. Not by becoming hard and bitter and closed, but by releasing my need to control outcomes. By accepting that some people won't change. By understanding that I can forgive without excusing. By learning that my peace matters more than other people's comfort. Peace isn't the absence of problems. It's not having everything work out the way you planned. It's not everyone apologizing and changing and becoming better. Peace is the quiet certainty that you're okay even when life isn't. That you're strong even when you feel weak. That you're valued even when others don't see it. That you're loved by God even when people fail you. I have that peace now, It didn't come easy. It didn't come fast. It came through tears and prayers and painful conversations and terrifying choices. But it came, and it was worth every hard moment to get here. So if you're in that dark place right now, if you're wondering if it's ever going to get better, if you're trying to decide whether to stay or go, to fight or surrender, to hope or give up, let me tell you something, it does get better, but only when you decide that you matter, that your peace matters, that your life matters. You don't have to set yourself on fire to keep everyone else warm. You don't have to shrink so others feel bigger. You don't have to apologize for taking up space in your own life. Let go of what's destroying you. Hold on to what gives you life. Choose peace over people pleasing. Choose yourself over acceptance. Choose to believe that you deserve better, because you do. And when you finally make that choice, when you finally let go of what's been holding you back, you'll be amazed at how light you feel. How free, how peaceful. Like you can finally breathe after holding your breath for years. That's what I found. That's what's waiting for you too. On the other side of letting go. On the other side of choosing yourself. On the other side of demanding better. Peace. Real, lasting, beautiful peace. If these stories feel real to you, please subscribe. And this is where my story ends tonight. Life doesn't always give us answers right away. Sometimes, God asks us to stay patient, stay kind, and stay silent, not because we are weak, but because He sees what others do not. If this story touched your heart, take a moment to reflect. Maybe someone needed this reminder today. Thank you for listening with an open heart. May God see every silent struggle and replace pain with peace. Until next time, this was Voice of Auntie Universe.